friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda Muse, and today I want to talk to you guys about seasonal affective disorder as like a regular person who has just started to realize that, oh, this might be what happens to me every winter. And I want to talk about how it shows up in my life, maybe how it's showing up in yours, and some things that we can do together to be more proactive about it, or even show support to someone in your life that might be experiencing this as well. What is SAD? Seasonal affective disorder, in a nutshell, is symptoms of depression, which can be, overeating, lack of energy, feeling heavy, like lethargic, those types of feelings. Sleeping too much, not feeling like you have the energy to do things you normally do. And all of these symptoms basically take place in the winter months when there is less sunlight, the weather isn't as inviting and, easy to get out there and be active. And so for someone like me, I just started to notice a pattern that, oh my God, this keeps showing up for me. Like every winter, it just seems to be getting a little bit harder. Something that was different about this fall, actually, and I don't know if I mentioned it in, on my channel or if it was in Instagram stories, but I almost started getting anxious about winter. Like I was getting like, oh, it's coming, and I could sense this almost like impending doom of the feelings I was about to feel as I stumbled into seasonal affective disorder month, One thing I should say, preface this, is that I haven't been formally diagnosed. However, I do go to therapy very often, like once a month, and have for many years. Not as frequently, and sometimes a little less and sometimes a little more. So in order to be properly diagnosed, I'm pretty sure you need to see a psychiatrist. And so, at my next appointment that I have with my therapist, with my talk therapist, I'm going to mention some of the things I've been feeling and check with her if maybe this might be something I should look into. I don't know if you take medication when it's a seasonal affective type of thing, or if you have to be diagnosed with depression all year round. Like, these are questions I have and I don't have answers, so we're not going to talk about that today. But coming back to the feelings in the fall, it's like I just started getting really stressed about how I was going to feel in a few weeks' time, which leads me to believe that I started seeing a pattern, like, oh, here we go, the sun's going away, Amanda starts to want to hibernate basically for the rest of the year. So it got really bad. I also experienced an event in my life that was a little bit of shock and some stuff and some grief, and I'm not ready to quite go there, but like a life event took place, which shook me a little and caused me to pause, but then I really dipped. So I'm talking like extreme feelings of no energy. I was going to bed at like 9 p.m. and if you know me, that is not normal. Now granted, it's probably wise to try and go to bed around 10 if you're trying to function and have good systems working in your body, but normally I go to bed quite late, like around midnight. I tend to work after the kids go to bed, and I couldn't. I was like asleep by 10 p.m. I'm talking, if you look at my Fitbit sleep tracker, it's like 10 p.m. What's happening here? 9 p.m. one night. So going to bed a lot earlier. Also feeling totally low. Like no motivation to get my work going. No motivation to show up. I mean, I was showing up, but it took a lot out of me to show up on Instagram and to post things. And so I didn't disappear because I did something smart. Is that even a sentence? In the fall, when I was experiencing these feelings of anxiety around what was to come, I spoke to my husband and I said, hey, I feel like I'm getting really nervous about the seasons changing, and I'm a little bit stressed how this is going to impact my workflow. And what I did is I actually reduced how many videos I put out a week. I went from 2 to 1. I started being more realistic with my expectations of myself on Instagram, like how much I could output a day. Now, granted, some of these things may not be relatable to your life, but for me, this is my job, and so these are things I have to consider, because it's sponsorships, and this is how I pay and sustain my life. So if it's someone who, if you have a day job and you're working 8 to 5 or whatever it is, and you've got expectations and you have commitments, maybe it's a little bit like you want to reevaluate what those commitments look like and if you can actually sustain them when you are experiencing some of this seasonal depression. So without realizing that I was setting myself up for this is what I did. So I started to like lower my workload a little bit. But then I stood on a scale and realized, oh, P.S. don't stand on scales. That's a whole subject for another day. But I put on weight like more than I normally do this time of year. And I was like, what is happening? Like it's almost like I felt out of control of my life. Like I wasn't able to control my work environment. I wasn't able to control my brain, my body. I was eating things I don't normally eat, not exercising, sleeping all the time. Like, who is this? I don't even recognize this person. And so I'm laying there one night on this sofa, literally weeping, like uncontrollable sobbing tears that I'm trying to be quiet so my family doesn't wake up upstairs. And I'm like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, what is happening right now? I thought, I gotta make a change, but I didn't have the energy to do the things I feel like you're supposed to do when you're experiencing seasonal depression, which is like go to the gym, work out, get the endorphins pumping, get those feel good, chemicals in your brain started. I couldn't even walk the dogs, like my poor dogs. I say that word and she starts to stare at me, but I couldn't even get out of the house to do that. And I was like, what is happening here? So I did the first step, which I honestly think is impacting me more than I'm giving it credit. But I got a Happy Light, and it's incredible. They say that a Happy Light can take up to 3 days, or 3 days up to a few weeks to actually like kick in and start working. So whether or not this is like a placebo effect, it's the best placebo effect ever. So here is my Happy Light. Basically, you kick this thing in. It's got a little plug in the back. I'll link this information below. It'll likely be an Amazon link. So just so you know, I might get like a cent if you buy one. But this is from Circadian Optics. I found a blog post that listed out a few of the lights, and this one was really well reviewed. I think you want to hit like 10,000 lumens, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not an expert on these things, but essentially it mimics daylight. And what you want to do is sit next to it 20 to 30 minutes a day. If yours doesn't kick out as high lumens, then you need to sit longer, is my understanding. So I wanted a higher one. I like the price point of this. The size is great. So what I do is I have it on a table where I drink my coffee every day, and it sort of shoots into the side of my eyes. So you never want to stare at it because first of all, you'll blind yourself. It's so bright. What I liked about this one, by the way, is it had 3 settings. So some of the other ones have only 1 setting, and it's very, very bright. This is kind of nice because you can like work up to the brightness. So anyway, I pop it on and I sit there for half an hour drinking my coffee in the morning. I like to take a slow start to my day before the kids wake up. And I truly feel like it's making a difference. It wasn't after the first day. I honestly feel like it was day 3. I've been doing this for like a week now, so it's very fresh still. But day 3, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. I took the dogs for an extra long walk. I got work done. I got everything done on my to-do list. And I will say, like when I set myself up for a work day with a to-do list, it's very reasonable and very attainable. And I did it. I said, I feel so much lighter. Like I've never experienced depression, like full-blown depression. I do have people in my life that have. And so I asked a friend, what does it feel like? And she was explaining some of the things. But one of the biggest ones that I could relate to was this heaviness, this sense of like crushing guilt because of all the things you know you should do but can't. And it's like I almost get like clouded. I feel like my brain is clouded. I can't focus. I can't get the work done. I can't do what I'm supposed to do. And I'm a very ambitious, high energy, high output person. So for me to actually say the words I cannot, it's like, what? It's more like I'm choosing not to do this right now because I'm prioritizing other things. But this was like a physically, I cannot do this. So aside from the Happy Lamp, which I like seriously can't say more about, or the Happy Light, I've been taking 1,000, mLUs of vitamin D every day. I get the drops, so I take my vitamin D. I've been trying to go to bed early, but not like crazy early, but like listening to my body. And so like 10 p.m., I find a really nice time for me to fall asleep. I wake up around 7. Trying to get out for fresh air and walks is helping right now. I haven't been able to get back to a workout, but it's honestly only been a week of using the light. So I'm like, I feel like I'm coming out of this dark phase of how I was feeling about things. Setting myself up for expectations around my life right now that are reasonable, like with work, with family, and then just what I can actually accomplish in terms of like exercise and all these extra things I want to do. You know, I volunteer at my kids' school, I work from home, it's Christmas, it's like, it's a lot happening. So I'm kind of like trying to reset my expectations. And also, I think a big one is talking about it, sharing with people in my life what's happening. You know, not making an excuse, but being like, hey, I'm sorry you haven't heard from me in like 6 weeks, but I've been going through a really hard time. And that's it. Like, that's it. I don't know what else to say other than that, but I'm here now, you know, and not allowing like this sense of shame to wash over you that you did anything wrong. It's like, this is part of life. And I think that even if you've never experienced depression or seasonal depression before in your life, and you're feeling all of these symptoms, it's worth telling someone, your doctor, a friend, a partner, someone that can support you through it. Because what I'm realizing, and what I realized going through this and going through this now, is like, you deserve it. You don't have to feel this way forever, and that there are things you can do. And sometimes you just need a real big push to do it. And so if you know someone who is experiencing these kind of heavy feelings right now, maybe share this video with them or offer some of the tips I shared within it, because I think the reality is like, I'm a very self-motivating person. So even in the depths of what I was feeling, I was still able to push myself out of it. But not everybody can do that. Like, had those feelings gone on longer, I don't know, you know, like would it have been spring before I felt better? The reality is I'll likely still be dealing with this until spring. But I was just telling a friend that what I'm going to do next year is start using that Happy Light like mid-October, and just start like creating those healthy habits so that I don't get lost like I did this year. It was really hard. These last few weeks have been really, really, really hard. So all of that to say, I found something that's working and I wanted to share it with you guys. Let me know if you experience these types of things. What do you do that makes you feel better? Because I really think it's like the combo of the Happy Light and the vitamin D. Amazing. As I was saying it throughout this video, like, I do speak to a therapist, a talk therapist, and it's something that I want to address with her. Like, at what point, you know, do you acknowledge that these feelings are that, you know, a symptom of depression? And at what point do you try medication? Like, is that worth going down that road? And, you know, or is it something where, because it's such a light degree of these types of feelings, can I manage it with, you know, a Happy Light and vitamin D and things like that? So anyway, basically the conversation has just begun about this, and I don't have all the answers, but I found some things that are working and I wanted to share. So please share what tips and tricks you might have up your sleeve and what works for you. I would love to hear it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.